Alright guys, today we'll be doing a Manatam build order, and I will explain this as simply as possible, so anybody who's watching, if you've just started the game, you can easily follow along. So, let's get straight into it. Second the game starts, 2 houses, scout the sheep straight below the TC, and with the scout, we just do control group 1, and then every single time we want to go to the scout, we just double tap 1, we go to the TC, we just press the go to TC button. And then we'll do the waypoint on the sheep, just so when the vills come out, they're working right away. And with your sheep, it's best to like put 1 underneath the TC like this, and then scout with 2. This is kind of what I like to do. Just get a little bit of extra scouting, a bit of extra vision to see how the map is looking, and so on. So now the build is, we're going to have 6 vills on food. And now we're just going to look for our either chickens or our deer. So no matter if it's chickens or deer, we have 6 vills on the sheep. And then we send 2 to woods. I think we'll take this wood line back here. Most likely. Okay, so our deer or chickens are not going to be over here. Which means they're either here or here. Okay, making sure we have the scouts. Oop, forgot to send the vill to the woods. My bad. Now we're just looking for the chickens or the deer. This is a bit bad scouting, by the way, running my scout through the already explored area. Try not to do that, like I just did. Okay, we found our deer, so it's actually a deer spawn. So now we send 3 vills to the woods. I was a bit sloppy, I didn't actually send the vills to the wood. I had to garrison them off the sheep and then send them to the wood, but, you know, small mistake, but we corrected it. Now we just do a little bit more scouting, and we want to push the deer in. I get asked this a lot about how I follow my deer. So what I do is I click on my scout, and I click on the follow command, wherever the hell that is. Yeah, follow. So I press my scout, I press C, and I right-click on the deer. That is how I push my deer in. Okay, so right now we have 3 vills on wood. We're pushing our deer in. Villager number 11 goes to get the boar. And just as this goose is running out, we will shift queue the vills onto the deer. Now next vill, we'll make a house. We can just slap the house down anywhere. Make the house here. Perfect. And now, we're just going to be saving up for the barracks. Our next building will be the barracks. We kill the boar with the TC, maximum efficiency. And also, I just want to pause it here quickly. And I want to say, if you guys have Chicken Arabia, what I like to do is around, like, villager pop 9, 8 after I sent my 3 vills to wood. I like to get 2 vills, garrison them in the TC, and then send them to the chickens. So I have 2 vills long distancing chickens whenever we have a chicken spawn. But now it's a deer spawn, so I'll just push my deer and no need to like long distance them, okay? So let's just continue. And then small little thing here, when this vill is finished with the house, we will shift queue him onto the straggler tree. Just like so. And then this vill is just going to save up the res. And the second I see 175 wood, I will be building the barracks. And yet again, we're playing Magyars. Magyars is another civ that has no eco bonus, which means if I can do this with Magyars, and you guys copy this perfectly, you can do it with any civ. Now, we just get the next boar, just like so. I like to get the boar when this javelina is running out. Like, javelinas have different foods numbers to like boars and elephants and rhinos and what have you, so you kind of have to get the boar whenever you think it's about to run out. Normally when the boar has about 100 food left, that's like a good indication on when to get the next one. I will just kill this with the TC, just like so. Okay, this deer's got like 70 food on, that's alright. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to select all the vills and right click the boar. So when these guys are finished over here, they will go straight away to the boar. Now when the barracks is built, we built another house. And then we do 19 vills with loom. We pull a sheep onto the TC just in case we need it. We might not need it, but just in case we need it, I'll have the sheep there. And now we can scout our opponent. And also, like, a small thing here. I can just get walled up here, right? Just 2 palisades, back to the TC. I'm happy with that. And now, garrison, 500 food, 522. Perfect. Right. So, this is a civ with no eco bonus. You can do 19 pop mana times quite easily. So, here is where everything changes. If you're going to go mana times into archers, instead of long distancing the gold, you would make a mining camp on the gold. If you're going to go mana times into skirmishes, you do not build the mining camp on the gold. If you're going to go mana times into boom, or like mana times into economy, you would have a bit more vills on wood, so you can afford barracks and horse collar. So I think with this build now, since we're versus Italians, which is an archer civilization, we're going to do mana times into skirm. So this build will be mana time into skirm, because I've just adapted on the fly. So this board's about to run out, 9 feud left. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shift queue all these vills onto the sheep. So we do this, and I garrison 1 vill, send them over here, 1 vill to the gold, and then we produce mana times. So what we want to do is we want to send 3 vills to long distance gold, just like this. Then we get 6 vills on the wood, just like this. Perfect. Now we make the next mana time. Might have to force drop without TC. There is a force drop option on these villages, by the way. So yeah, there's a lot going on right now, so I will do a few pauses to kind of explain what's happening. So when this guy brings back his gold, I'm going to garrison him inside the TC and then to the straggler tree, because what we need is we need 20, 40, 60. We need 60 gold, and then the upgrade is 40. So we need 100 gold and then 150 saloon. So what we're going to do now is we're going to garrison this guy inside, go over here. Perfect. Scouting our opponent, we make 2 militias, just like this. Get another house down. We can make a house here. It's just good practice to make houses where the walls are, just like so. Get everyone shifted onto the sheep. And now I will send my militia across the map as a 3. I don't like to send my militia across the map one at a time. I like to group them up before I send them. It just feels better. And now what we do is we send like 2 vills to the berries, 3 vills to the berries. When this woman comes in, she will also go to the berries. Just like so. So we have 4 vills on berries. And now, upon hitting Feudal Age, we kind of want to group up our militia and our scouts. So when we click up, we do mana time upgrade and barracks. Just like this. And now, from this position, we have enough resources to make the range. So you don't always have to go for a range, by the way. Like, this is like a big mistake a lot of people do, is they always think, okay, I have to follow my mana times up with something. You don't always have to follow your mana times up. Like, for example, right now, I could just drop a few farms, set my economy up, have a better eco, and then add the production building to counter what my opponent is doing. For example, if my opponent is opening scouts, I don't really want skirmishes, right? So in this situation, I would scout my opponent. My scouting is quite bad. Normally, you would want to do a loop of your opponent's base, but this time I didn't. If my opponent's opening scouts, I might just make 1 or 2 spears, drop a few farms, and wall up. If my opponent's opening archers, then skirmishes would be good. So yeah, we will carry on. Militia come in, force drop a little bit, start dropping some farms, get all the wood spent up. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to get 8 vills on the lumber camp, and with these vills, we're going to shift queue them to the straggler trees. Then we start dropping farms, just like this. Kind of spread the vills out a little bit. So this is kind of like the build I like to do, is the mana time eco approach. So right now my opponent is not moving because it's a bot, it's like no unit movement. But right now we're just going to walk around our opponent's space, just seeing what we can find. Let's see what we can find here. And let's just pretend he's opening scouts. If he opens scouts, we make 1 spearman. And then we send the first spearman forward, and then the second spearman will be at home, helping our vills wall the base. And also, if you want, you can send more vills to berries. Up to 6 vills on berries is normally a good idea. So right now, we're just moving around our opponent's base. Let's get walled up. Maybe you could wall the edge of the map, actually, here. That might be better. Force up a bit more res. Save up for the spearman. Nice. We got the spearman. We can keep dropping farms. Normally, you don't want to drop farms on the straggler tree. Because, okay, the straggler trees are like the most important thing in the game, by the way. So many people make the mistake of placing farms on top of straggler trees. You never want to do that. Whenever you're in Feudal Age, your TC waypoint is always on straggler tree. And if you can, do not place your farms on top of the straggler trees. They are very, very important. A lot more important than people realize. Because when your vills come out the TC, they just have somewhere to go to. So now we just walk around our opponent's base. We try to find some vills. We slowly get walled up at home, just like so. We can even put the spearman on guard, and he can guard the villager, which is nice. And now we have 176 wood. So the way I would adapt... Actually, this is a mistake. This spearman should be linked up with these mana times, because if our opponent is opening scouts, he will either try to clear these mana times up with his scout numbers, or he will be counterattacking. So ideally, you would make a few more spears, you know, one spear for the berries, one spear for the wood, one spear for the vill walling, or you can even wall your woodline in, which is probably better. And that is if your opponent's going scouts. If your opponent's going archers, you would not add this many farms. You would send the vills to berries a bit sooner, and then you would go skirmishes. And you can play defensive skirmishes, you can play aggressive skirmishes, but how you play is just, you have to adapt to the situation. And actually what we're going to do is we will keep playing, and we will keep dropping farms, we'll take the eco approach, like the greedy approach. And now, maybe we can go for a range. Let's just pretend our opponent went scouts into archers. So now our opponent is on scout archers. So if our opponent's on scout archers, we want to get walled up, right? So we really want to get walled up. So what I like to do now is I like to get my spearmen, protecting my vills walling. The spearmen can go over here, help wall. And if you need to wall, that's fine. You can send multiple vills to wall. Now we just keep dropping farms. Just like so. Perfect. Now we can start massing skirmishes up in the range. You might need a spearman to defend the berries. If you do, that's okay. So now we're just walking around our opponent's base. And one key thing is you don't want to dive villagers with these mana times. If you get a villager kill for free, take it for sure. But do not lose your mana times to sniper vill. Keeping these mana times alive is more valuable than sniping a vill. And this is one thing a lot of players, even at high level, don't understand. If I run into my opponent's base with 3 mana times on 1 scout, if I kill 1 villager but lose all this pressure, that is a very good trade for my opponent, because then he will have the army lead and he will snowball me with army. So keeping these guys alive, forcing vills to quick wall, forcing vills to wall in the woodline, forcing vills to go idle, just the pressure and the thought of these mana times will cause a lot more damage than you trying to rush in, kill a vill and lose them. So I think this is pretty much it. From this position, I would just mass up skirms, play defensive skirms, get walled up, make sure we're not vulnerable anywhere. Like, one spot where we're vulnerable is maybe here. Maybe I should have house walled this. That was a small mistake. And maybe here I should be house walled as well, and also here. And now, the way we go to Castle Age is we will just start sending vills to gold. When we have 400 food in the bank, just like so, I like to send 3 vills to gold, okay? So 400 food in the bank, I send 3 vills to gold, just like this. Then we can send the 4th as well. And this also depends how many skirmishes you're making. If you're making lots of skirms, you might send less vills to gold because you're spending your food, right? Now we get the blacksmith here, we can get the house here as well. And these spearmen, you can send them forward. Or you can protect the berry vills. If your berries are in the back, then you should probably make a gate like so. It's just good practice to be fully walled, because then your opponent can just like sprint through your base and run in and kill your vills. It can get very annoying. Right now we'll send a couple more vills to gold here. We got 6 on gold. I think 6 on gold is a good number. You don't want to go too many vills on gold, because then you'll have too much gold. You'll start floating gold. In the meanwhile, these mana times are probably dead at this point. If they're still alive, amazing, but most games you should lose them by now. And right now, let's just pretend this area is no longer safe. What I like to do is, whenever my berries run out, I like to make a lumber camp with them. I love making a lumber camp with my berry vills. It's one of my favorite things to do. And right now, we might be able to click up. Let's have a look. Cancel a vill, click up. Yeah, nice. So, in this game here, we've clicked up to Castle Age at 36 vills, which is, you know, pretty quick after opening mana times. And then we didn't, like, nuke our economy by trying to make too much army. Like, mana times into walls can be a very viable strat, but you just have to be scouting your opponent a lot and scouting what he's doing. So your scout should always be running around your opponent's base like, okay, is he making a blacksmith? Is he making a range behind his stable? Is he making a stable? Is he making a range? Like, what is he making? And then you can kind of adapt on the fly with this build, which is why I like it so much. There are definitely more aggressive Mana Time builds out there, but personally, I don't like that. I like having a good eco behind it. I don't want to sacrifice myself just to do a little bit of damage. That's just not my playstyle, and that's not how I like to play. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. This was another tutorial. I will be doing more very soon. Any suggestions, anything you want to see, I will reply to you, and maybe I will do them in a future video. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.